2019 Porsche Cayenne First Drive, better, faster, lither. It's no longer enough simply to be a fast crossover. Many crossovers are fast, and several of them are also sexy. The Porsche Cayenne, almost endearingly homely in its first iteration and baroquely overwrought in its second, managed mainly the former. To be fair, you could say they were distinctive, and looked appropriately expensive. There was no mistaking it was a Porsche. And then the Macan came along, much sleeker, definitely sexier. Now that the Panamera's gotten pretty after its much-needed makeover, the Cayenne's out of excuses. It may drive great, but it needs to look the part to be a contemporary Porsche. To analyze both aspects of the new Cayenne, Porsche brought 3 versions to Crete for us to sample. It seemed to be an odd choice at first, but if you've been to Crete on the off-season you know the sleepy island is full of mountains, surprisingly good pavement, and tons of tight switchbacks and larger sweepers. The variety of roads and paucity of traffic was the perfect setting to evaluate the Cayenne, especially with its new handling options. As the drive approached, we took a long, hard look at the new shape in the parking lot in the soft light of a Cretan morning. It's immediately apparent that the Cayenne is not quite a scaled-up Macan. The Cayenne is still doing its own thing, to some extent, and that means it trades some of the Macan's lithe proportions for a staidness that can't quite be explained away by its increased size. The steepness of the front end, despite being broken up by a gaping 3-part grille and a similarly carved-out lower fascia, is imposing and overly tall. The headlights, fascinating and complex inside and more gracefully shaped overall, are perched awkwardly on top, frog-like. The hood is lovely, with a nice tumble home and perfectly creased power bulge. There's simply no way to reduce the visual height of the front enough to make these elements attractive, but they're certainly distinctive. And as mentioned above, a massive improvement. The profile is clean, with a sharp dual radius character line around each wheel well, perfect semicircles, and deep scallops in the doors. The best part is the rear, which is refreshingly simple and lovely. The wide, unbroken taillight element resembles the Panamera's similar unit but with a dash of inspiration from the Macan's deeply concave lights. The convex shape forming the license plate cutout breaks up what would otherwise be a large, upright tailgate form. The integrated hatch spoiler, with an active panel that can move between several angles, is also smooth and sporty. It'd look entirely naked without it. Much as the decluttering outside is welcome, the interior is clean and smooth when compared to its predecessor. The major interior themes are all there: the large, tombstone-shaped air vents, prominent boomerang grab handles, and so on, so it's immediately recognizable as a Cayenne. Instead of a bewildering pile of chiclet buttons on the center console, the 2019 uses seamless buttons arrayed symmetrically around the piano black center console. The center screen, which is beautiful and perfectly integrated, spreads horizontally, and the vents that formerly flanked it move to a more discrete location underneath. The problem is differentiating one non-button from another, not a problem unique to Porsche, to be fair, but exacerbated here. It looks so good, and yet requires so much attention to use. Functions we're familiar with existing in hard button form, like turning on or off the start functionality, are buried in a menu on the main screen, a few touches deep. At some point car companies will find the right balance between design and functionality, and it's easy to pick out gripes among the plaudits. While the aesthetic choices should be applauded, the interior's wow factor is dulled a bit by the ergonomic compromises,